Well, hello people, and welcome back to episode 59 of Rannoch, our Vanilla City Skylines build. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I had a live stream recently where we introduced the Grand Mall and the Opera House, taking inspiration from where this asset actually comes from in Valencia, which was an awful lot of fun on the live stream. Also dropped in one of the museums over here as well. The art gallery now lies. The wonderful extension at the back here. Some really fun live stream editions. VODs are always on the channel, should you wish to check them out. And we also renovated the start of the city, over by the very initial highway. We added in some apartments and some fields and pitches, just for some suburban sport expansion, which sits very wonderfully in the foreground of the downtown today. And it's over here today we're going to be working, because today's build is both renovation and expansion. And the nuclear plant has a bit of space here, and I'm not quite happy with this area. The transition between the areas is very blunt, and I'm not a huge lover of a lot of this bottom corner of the power plant, so I think we'll renovate it all today. And Rannoch doesn't really need a lot of this power anymore, and we built this when the hydroelectric dam wasn't functioning, so this gives us most of the power now. I reckon we'll probably take a few of those nuclear plants out today, right? We will quite literally decommission some of the reactors, which will be a lot of fun. But let's use up the last of the unique factories as we create our mega factory complex, shall we? Okay, so we've trimmed off just the left of the power plant here, so we can sort of reset the area of building today, if you like. So I know immediately the first asset I want to use, which is going to be the car factory. Let's bring up a big 4-lane arterial road. Grab ourselves some small industrial roads as well to make a T-frame, which will allow us to place the car factory. One of my favourite assets in the game, and in Orchid Bay we made a dedicated car plant, which was one of the coolest industrial builds we ever did. Definitely check that out. But I mean, for orientation purposes, that's pretty impressive, isn't it? I love the logo, of course, always facing the road. Brand exposure. And that looks pretty cool there, doesn't it? We're just sat in this little industrial yard here. So with today's factories, I'd really like them to start functioning as one massive gigafactory complex, right? Now, they're all quite similar, the ones we have left, I think, beside the food factory, which is a little bit red brick themed, but we'll probably exclude that one. So the next one is the clothing factory. And I think to begin making a bit of a mock, I guess gigafactory complex is what this would qualify as, probably, isn't it? You like the buildings there? They're all quite similar, aren't they? Definitely pass it off, and obviously they're not connected, but we can pretend. I know I have Move It installed, but that's just for resetting graveyards. I am keeping the gameplay in Rannoch vanilla before people comment and tell me that I can just use it with Move It. I do know, but I'm choosing not to. So with these little buildings here, right, they've got some nice concrete yards. Now, airport aprons won't collide with factories, which is brilliant. So we can make some pretty convincing little yards here today, I think. Let's place a few of these down. And then let's bring in our second factory of the day. We're going to draw the road in first, then actually draw in another one. And then the other one that looks pretty similar is the sneaker factory, which we can place here. That's going to dig a bit into the terrain. We'll probably have to rip a bit of this hill back, which is fine. And then with the connection, delete the road. You won't stay connected there, which is fine. Instead, with no snapping, we'll just come up and provide a connection. And already, doesn't that give us just such a cool little detailed yard in vanilla? Arriving at the parking there at the front of the building, you can see into the yard of, you know, perhaps this is the distribution part of the factory next door. Just like a separate facility that's still on site, right? That might be one of my favourite pairings of assets we've ever done there, that little courtyard. It's very nice, that, isn't it? Really like that. I think we'll also keep some of the airport apron running actually into the factory as well, maybe. Kind of keep it in line with the edge of the buildings. Kind of almost glues the buildings together doing that, doesn't it? As the concrete surface extends, you can imagine there's perhaps a gate somewhere along that fence, can't you? We're also going to name today's build Matheson Manufacturing after our wonderful egg yolk patron, Alexander Matheson. Thank you for all your support, Alex. Really appreciate it. With so many factories here, warehouses are going to be a key feature of the build. So let's bring some of these in, shall we? I think I'm feeling the medium warehouse the most, and to continue the kind of open courtyard industrial vibes that we're setting up here, I'd love to start bringing this into the fray as well. So if we can bring this little courtyard into it, how much does that help, right? Just having those little distribution bay doors as part of the courtyard here would possibly be one of my favourite ever little industrial orientations we've ever done in our years of playing Cities Skylines together. I really like that. We'll continue this vibe as well. Let's have... Let's see how much space do we have there? 3 tiles basically, isn't it, I think, from the building. We also want the last factory in here too. Let's make this one here, the lemonade, which... Will it sit on the corner there and be happy? It looks like it might. Yeah, I think I like that there. And then crops are pretty common as well, right? Yeah, crops for sneakers, clothing, and lemonade. Yeah, we need quite a lot. Let's bring them up, so that'll be farming DLC. And the large grain silos, I think, are where we'll find the most industrial vibe. Definitely want to repurpose this as almost so it is some sort of, I guess, almost like coolant or refrigerant or some sort of gas that's used in the manufacturing of whatever is being made here, right? Rather than, you know, seed or grain or something from an actual farm, which is what it actually is. But silos always settle in very nicely to an industrial build, don't they? And I like those there. This building burns down in front of us. Goodness gracious. And how fun to see the bus BRT again as well, right? We never see this thing anymore. Because I was just never over this side of the city. But a lovely little bus hub over here for us to spend some time in. I'll get some shots of this in the cinematic today. As this area grows into this monstrous industrial development against the arterial here. Very nice. I'm enjoying this. I'd also like to use a monument, specifically the ultimate recycling plant here, which I think would have the potential to look very nice indeed. So let's bring in some roads here. I'd like to leave a little bit of space open around the back of the lemonade factory, so I can do that basically. And then we'll feed this up also from here as well. Because I think with the ultimate recycling centre, I'd like to use it on a bit of an angle. Let's come down here. Try to bring some curbs into the project as well, so it's not all super gritty. And maybe a little curve here would be quite welcome, actually. There we go, it's a bit more interesting there, isn't it? Right, we can take this away from that can go straight on. And then my monument, I'll have it right next to the front of the factory there, I think. I always need to tell you to store something as well, don't I? What else do we need? Petroleum. Sure. Come store petroleum next door to the plastics. And I think the recycling centre fits in really quite nicely, doesn't it? Again, see the angle, how much of a difference that little angle change makes from the sightline there. Really cool perspective that, isn't it? Such a big complex already. Oh, here comes a truck as well. Yes, please. Why are you bringing wood? What wants wood here? I'm not even sure. What are you delivering? Paper probably, I bet, right? Yeah, probably paper. Wonderful, these guys are starting to get fed with their resources already though. Now, heading down into the valley, I did mention that I wouldn't mind having some sort of weather radar down here. Or at least maybe some sort of weather warning system, perhaps maybe flash floods given the shape of the valley. And very weird water waves. Are you okay, River? What's going on there? You alright? Maybe there is about to be a flash flood. But yeah, I think we'll do this as part of our quirky mountain area builds, which will include things like the radio telescope, the observation building, and this, a little down the, well, I guess top of the valley, sort of weather monitoring station maybe. Which will be a fun way to use that space that lies down the valley. Turning our attention back toward the front of the build over here. We have some very awkward industry here now that doesn't really settle in anymore. And because the core area has some pretty impressive assets, I think we can almost use some of them to help complement our little build here. Let's have a look what can possibly happen. The industrial area should already be part of this, it is indeed. So let's grab ourselves some ore industry. I'm probably not going to put things like, I mean, I guess I'll check, right? It would be rude not to check, wouldn't it? Especially with one of the biggest industrial assets. Yeah. I do like the rotary kiln, but I think it leans more into the side of kind of processing over manufacturing, which is certainly the vibe here, isn't it? So, we'll say no to that. However, we probably will say hello to the glass manufacturing plant, which will sit in quite nicely here. And then also go and be stored locally, because we got glass on a few occasions here. Yeah, 2 of the factories are using glass. And then let's give them another warehouse too. Perhaps a little open resource yard here to complement the back of the lemonade factory. Maybe 2 of them. And an airport apron to fill out the whole space, of course. At least up until the building's edge. Imagine lots of trucks and whatnot driving across these spaces. Okay, you will store glass. Crops are being stored now. Animal products aren't being stored yet, so we'll do that now. They'll go in there. And are we happy with the glass manufacturing plant in there? Yeah, sits in really nicely, doesn't it? Such a sprawling industrial complex already, isn't it? Really like it. Definitely not averse to more ore buildings in here as well. Certainly the ore maintenance buildings. Why don't we have 2 of you that'll be visible from these little delivery yards down here as well. Yeah, it's almost like more distribution depots, isn't it? Perhaps for obviously larger vehicles given the size of the door, or larger freight maybe. Whatever justification you want to give to it. Assets that work quite nicely, and they'll actually do a nice job of blending us out of the factory as well, because there's dirt and trees on these. So actually quite a nice asset to back onto the hillside with, I think, there, isn't it? So we also mentioned tearing out some of these nuclear plants as well, since we just straight up don't need them anymore, not with the current demands of the city. One of them is even turned off as well, so plenty of headroom still for it. With this space here, I'd love to bring in a bit more industrial evolution. We do have the demand for it. I'd like a specific asset pattern to appear here if possible. So let's arrange, I want 2x4 assets to appear here. But I do want them kind of separated away, so let's leave 2 tiles free of the roads. And then it's really this pattern that I want here too. We might as well extend it down to that next node, right? Where we can just connect in here, and we'll also do one. This area should already be industrial evolution. Yes, it is. Fantastic. Let's know why you're still complaining of no services. Everything is here for you. I wonder why they are complaining of too few services. They do have everything here. And then with our zoning here, just want 2x4 stuff to go in. Of course, we can just do 2 deeps all the way around there. I think we'll also drag this road up to the side of the power plant. That'll integrate it quite nicely. And then they're complaining of services, but there's literally everything here. I mean, this island alone has police and fire. Let's plop one of the cheaper services around here just to encourage them to grow. We'll have another fire safety center on the corner. Like that here. Then with the front of our facility, I'd love to perhaps design a bit of a, I guess not like a true visitor center, but maybe, you know, fans of the car have somewhere to show up and perhaps visit a merchandise store or raise inquiries about a possible purchase maybe. We'll do some airport apron plaza work out the front. And then let's give this a bit of landscaping. Let's come in with some classic wild hedge. And I think the only appropriate vanilla assets here is going to be... Oh, then again... Would the glass plaza work? I'm going to say no. It does kind of frame the car factory nicely, but I think it's just... It's too touristic for an industrial plant, you know? It's too modern. Let's pull in with some cubes from the Plaza's DLC. We got them as lovely as we can with the eyeball. And then just some simple benches. We'll come into our props and we'll grab our posher trade school bench. Maybe a place to sit and enjoy the factoids. I think I'll also include some factoids on these little signs from the countryside pack. It's not countryside, is it? It's Mountain Village. Perhaps a bit of information on car company, where it was founded, who founded it, etc. Their first car, and lots of other little bits of trivia, etc. You get the vibe with it, don't you? And I like that there. Such a cool frontage to the car factory, isn't it? Definitely one of the best looking industrial buildings in the game, I reckon. And this little junction here, I did notice earlier there's weird segments at play here. Yeah, we've got a really short segment there. So let's see if we can rearrange what's going on. I'd probably like a road to run down here. And then you can go down there. And then the spaces either side of the design here. 16 there, 16 there. That just happens to be perfect. I actually didn't plan that, which is fantastic. Of course, a factory like this is going to need tons of the old car parking, isn't it? So we'll have some of the big ones. And then we'll do 2 plot small ones next door. And some sort of tree, just to further landscape our little area here. Just a row of evergreen conifer, I think, is all that's needed. Nothing too dramatic. But it just helps us decorate. I mean, if we take a drive-by now, right, let's go ahead and jump onto first person's perspective of this little post van. It does kind of lose its mind with the frames. Just bear with it, there you go. As we drive past. So we get a pretty awesome perspective there, right? We'll stop it here. Please don't turn right. Yeah, there you go. Isn't that just such a cool drive-by? Some parking and statues at the front really just open up the front of the building, don't they? Make it look so much more impressive. I'm a big fan of how that's turned out, actually. But otherwise, guys, it feels like a good place for a detailed time-lapse. We have some inconsistencies here to blend together in a different area, which will be a lot of fun. Possible appearance of some further ore buildings too. Alongside bringing in the forest, the terraforming some rocks, and there's lots of little spaces to fill with fun and games around here as we tie together both new and old builds in a very interesting configuration. Otherwise, let's detail up our massive mega gigafactory complex, and then we'll be right back. nice. Let's have a look over what might be one of my personal favourite ever combination of industrial assets we put together. Especially for vanilla as well. Down here, of course, we'll start at the front. I don't think this was ever. I think this was done during a live stream, so this hasn't been shown in an episode. And the people in the tent, so we'll start from here, and then head down the highway road toward our new frontage. With lots of fun out the front, memorabilia and homage to the brand and the history, etc. The factory just sits so nicely, doesn't it? Well, parking along the side, almost kind of replicating what actually sits in the factory, you know, like mass-produced cars ready to be shipped. A similar development using the fence to almost extend the footprint of the factory, right? If you can enjoy that perspective for a second. So I really like how that turned out. Down here, we have all our industry, which is still waiting to level up. It'll all turn into this sort of warehouse, you know, just discrete units, just waiting for the brick stuff to level up, which it will do over time, of course. We always get nice prop arrangements out the back of this 2x4 stuff. Just overgrown industrial land right around the backs of buildings. Nice sight lines to enjoy it to the glass manufacturing plant as well. Through here, all the little courtyards that we've factored in the build have made just such a tremendous difference, especially when you can see the workers walking around as well, right? My word. It makes it look so much more impressive when the factories are functioning, doesn't it? The super cool deliveries coming and going from here as well. It's almost like workers and resources, isn't it, right? Actually quite inspiring for that game too, which has just gone up on the channel in the last week or so. If you want to see some workers and resources gameplay, don't forget to check that out. And then, yeah, just love it. All the delivery vibes all through here. I think I've really managed to just really get the spacing right between these assets here. I'm a huge lover of it. Just little sight lines to all these little buildings, little cuts in the pavement and the concrete texture, you know, with the front of the factory. Super nice. Lots of overgrowth here, with some workers' barracks present on the edge of the facility. Another warehouse holding plastics, I believe, but hasn't had a delivery just yet. And then a yard that spills into these silos access, where you can also get to the factories, you can get to the recycling centre here. You can just kind of cut through this little area here and come into another little yard where there's some props, some branch offices, and then some fun vanilla gate action using the fences, of course, to just create a gate opening where people can come in and enjoy a view across to the little yards. There's fencing at play here too, against the road. Coming in. And just so cool, isn't it? I really like it. And we're still waiting on some deliveries for these warehouses over here as well. And that leads off back down and out of the facility toward the start of the city down that road over there. Over this side there's some car parking, and we also deleted a sewage treatment plant as well during the rebuild, so that's been factored in here again too. Alongside with some more Japanese car parking. And again, another great little light line that, isn't it? Super cool. Love to include the monument, which of course has its logo facing out toward the river, which is very cool. After this, we leave the facility, which has all been fenced up. Like it is definitely its own sort of perimeter fence, you know, for something like this. And then we'll enjoy a view from here as well, right? How nice is that? Big sprawling industrial complex up to the foot of the skyline now. Yes, boys. And then the Rannoch forest takes over as we drive down the heavily forested river valleys of Rannoch. Upgraded to a bit of sound barrier here just because of how close it was to the water. More as crash barrier than sound, really, but a nice little differentiation for the road network. This comes to the head of the valley, in the bends of the river, where there's a little, I guess what I'm going to call a flood monitoring station, I suppose, and there's a collection of really rescue assets. There's fire and emergency stuff here, alongside a radio antenna, and a little fire watchtower just down a path here, which takes you up to the top of the river, where the edge of the map is actually here. It's really actually nice to use one of these valleys, because there's a few of them around Rannoch. I mentioned we're going to do like a quirky mountain builds episode. Maybe see what we can make do with these spaces. Well, I think we'll do that next week. Is there even room for another little dam here, you know? I think there probably is, isn't there? Sidai has already basically done it for us. I wonder. It'd be a nightmare to get a road out here. It could be done though. We'll definitely do something with this in our quirky mountain builds, which will include things like the observatory and the radio telescope. And we'll do that next episode, I think, maybe. I think I am going to go ahead and call this my favourite ever arrangement of vanilla industrial. Just this huge sprawling factory complex that uses so many different things, even a monument too. Alongside just the setting with the mountains, the ore area also tied into it, and just the way it sits against the huge arterial frames against this very busy part of the city. Really like it, and hope you've enjoyed it as well. A massive shout out to the YouTube members and patrons that support these videos, with a real call to our Golden Egg patrons: Bad Wolf, Blythe, Casino, Louis Adlam, Michael W, Phoenix MD, and Spartan Angel. If you want to get involved in that, links down to Instant Gaming and Patreon are the best ways to support the channel if you so wish. Otherwise, please enjoy the cinematics, and I'll shut up and leave it there. Let's thank you all so much indeed for watching, and as always, enjoy the rest of your day.